nominated the ABLP's Randy Baltimore and the UPP's Alex Brown. Well, electors in that constituency, just under 2,000 of them who were registered to vote, got a chance to exercise their franchise today to determine whether it is Mr. Baltimore or Mr. Brown who will be the new Member of Parliament, who will represent their interests in the nation's Parliament for St. Philip's North. So, extensive coverage. The counting is just about to begin and is taking place at the Glanville's Community Centre. And you're still seeing the box there, the first box. You're still seeing the seals on it, so that means the counting has not yet begun. And there is a hive of activity at the Glanville's Community Centre. The air is pregnant with anticipation. There are scores, hundreds of people on the outside. We showed you a shot earlier of the kind of anticipation that's building on the outside. In fact, somebody also had a fall just in front of our camera when we were on the news earlier. So we will be joining, of course, Nicola Barto, who is on location there. We also have Chanel Imhoff, who is on location there at the Glanville's Community Centre. So full coverage on all our platforms. We thank you so much for being a part of us. So, my esteemed panel, time now to introduce them. To my immediate right is Donna Shoya. She's a member of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. She's a public affairs commentator. She has been a radio host and presenter par excellence. She joins us to share her perspectives from the ABLP's perspective on this by-election in St. Philip's North. To Donna Shoya's right is Bertrand Joseph. He's a former Member of Parliament, and now he's a public affairs analyst, and he's a political historian of significant note. To Mr. Joseph's right is Mr. Derek Nicholas. He will speak on behalf of the United Progressive Party this evening on our panel. In a short while, we'll be joined by pollster and political commentator, regional pollster and political commentator, Peter Wickham, who will join our broadcast. But first, very good evening to you, lady and gentlemen.
Good night.
Really appreciate it. All right, so you see there we go. So just in time, as our broadcast is starting, they're opening the first of the boxes. And as you see, this is history in the making because it's the first time that transparent ballot boxes are being used by ABEC in any election in Antigua and Barbuda. This will be the modus operandi going forward. So as of now, this will be how elections will be conducted with transparent ballot boxes. Before that, there were the opaque ones. You couldn't see through them. They still looked at them, checked, shook them before the start of voting to make sure that there was no vote inside. Both scrutineers from both parties, or in the case of independent candidates, their scrutineers would get a chance to look to make sure that no ballots were in them before. Now, you don't have to turn it up and shake it because it's transparent. So you'll see that it's empty. So the first box is about to be counted. We'll, of course, take you in a short while as the counting begins, and the box has now been, the lid has now been lifted, and the first numbers are going to be, just before my panel comes in, we're going to be giving you some order, we're going to be giving you some audio from St. Philip's North, Glanville's Community Centre. That's where this is taking place. We'll take some audio as soon as we can.
Check one. One. No.
So the counting is on in progress as you hear. Just a slight challenge with the audio there. We'll get back to the audio in a short while. But of course, I will go back to what's happening as we speak at the Glanville's Community Center. But you get a flavor of what's taking place so far. As we said, our results coverage, welcome, a warm welcome. Of course, we'll give you the full details of the first box that is being counted. That is from box 1 in the Glanville's School of Agriculture. That's in the Glanville's area. A to I, that's the first box. The second box in the second and final box at Glanville's will be J to Z. All right, so the first box from Glanville's being counted as we speak. As I said, okay, let's go back to the audio as we speak.
Baltimore. Baltimore. Baltimore.
Round. 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 Baltimore. 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 Round. Baltimore. Round. 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 Baltimore. 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 Round. Round. Baltimore. 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 Round. Round. Baltimore. Round. Round. Baltimore. Round. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. 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 Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. This is very small, but it says Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. 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 Baltimore. Brown. Ground. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Brown. 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 Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Baltimore.
So there you have it, the first box having been counted. That's the first box from the Glanville's School of Agriculture. That's box A to I. One more box to be counted from Glanville. So there are 3 polling districts, A, B, C. A is Glanville's, B is Nelvie and Gore, Willikies, and C is at Newfield. As I said, my panel this evening for this extensive results coverage as St. Phillip North decides. To my immediate right is Donna Shire, who is a former banker, an entrepreneur, radio host par excellence. To Donna's right is Bertrand Joseph, former member of parliament, former government minister, now a public affairs analyst and a political historian. To Bertrand's right is Derek Nicholas, who is a private mathematics teacher. He's a political strategist and as well a business consultant. And to Mr. Nicholas's right is Peter Wickham, who almost needs no introduction, regional pollster par excellence and political commentator. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate it. So having heard the first box, having been counted, first of 7 boxes, let's start with Peter, from my far right. Peter, what's your take?
Well, I mean, I heard one name coming up frequently, but I'm still waiting for the actual number. This box is probably a good place to start because it was relatively level last time in terms of even Steven. If you see an improvement on part of either of the candidates, I think that that's a pretty good indicator in terms of the way the night will go. So I'm anxious to see what those numbers coming in actually are. I should just say that going in, my expectation is that there will be a Labour Party victory. I would be very surprised if the Labour Party doesn't pull this one off. And I think really the question is the size of the victory. Certainly the UPP may have had good reason to think that they would do well based on the fact that over the years, one could say that the UPP's margin has increased. The ALP has contracted significantly. I mean, it's been with the party for 50 years, so one would assume that that would happen over time. Having said that, however, certainly the polling that we would have done has shown that there has been some mitigation of the support and that the Labour Party would have been catching back up, so to speak. So that would be my expectation for tonight. But as I said, the first box will tell a lot will tell us a lot about what's likely to happen.
Indeed, very, very good on that. Peter, thank you so much. And by the way, we'll get the numbers shortly. We have teams there, so they'll feed the numbers into us as soon as they're available, all right? So we gave you a sense of all that box being counted. We won't do the same thing for all the other boxes. We'll dip in and out of what's taking place at the Glanville's Community Center. Bertrand Joseph, what's your take? Tell me the numbers from the last general election, 2023, from that box. And what is your take on having heard this one?
The numbers from last election is 104 for the anti-Labour Party and 106 for the United Progressive Party. Normally, this is the strongest area for the United Progressive Party, going back historically. They have done pretty well in this particular area. And if they're going to be able to, if the UPP is going to be able to make any trust towards victory, they would have to do significantly well in this particular box, because there's going to have to be a lot of catching up to do in the other boxes coming from Willikies and Freetown, which have gone. Not Freetown, Newfield and Willikies. They'll have to do significantly well in these particular boxes to offset what is going to come down the road.
So you said the last election, it was a victory for the UPP in that box?
Yes, 50% to 49% of the votes.
Right, very small margin of victory. Let's come to Donna Shire on this one. Your take, having heard the first, we're waiting for the numbers, the preliminary results from box number 1. What's your take?
Well, let me say good evening to your audience and good evening to the rest of the panel. I'm already excited from the first box, hearing all that Baltimore, Baltimore, Baltimore. And I know that the team has been on the ground working very hard, notwithstanding that, as Mr. Joseph said, that box that comes out of Seaton's, Glanville mostly, Seaton's is the UPP's stronghold in that constituency. So if the UPP is not, when we get the results, if the UPP did not win that box, it is going to be very difficult for them to play catch-up. I have to agree with Mr. Joseph on that one. But I have a strong feeling that when we get the results from this box here, that Baltimore will be the winner of this box here. That is my hope. And having heard those horns, I have a sneaky suspicion that those tallies were the horns as a result of somebody having tallied and already have their unofficial results.
Donna, could I ask you to hold it, please? Because we have the numbers from box number 1. The numbers are in. They are on your screen. Randy Baltimore of the ABLP, 143. Alex Brown of the UPP, 86. A significant improvement in the ABLP's performance in this box, comfortably winning 62, almost 63%, well, just about 62% of the votes to 38% for Alex Brown, a significant victory for Randy Baltimore of the ABLP in this one. Just very quickly, and
Yes.
before I come over to Derek.
And I think what we're seeing here is a lot of young voters and new voters that would have made a difference, because this election is about inspiration and transformation. And I think the people in that constituency are seeing that in that new candidate, Randy Baltimore, and what that was probably waning in the older candidates.
Right, Derek Nicholas, let's go over to you. Your take. Good evening to you.
And to your listeners and viewers, I would like to join with Mr. Joseph in that I don't think it's going to be a runaway by any stretch of the imagination, and especially when you get to Willie Keys, when family dynamics come into play, and I'll speak to that later. However, I'm sort of surprised by the result of the first box, and I want to think that a lot of those are younger voters who are not particularly loyal to any one or any party, and they're not of my grandmother's generation. So and we know them to be fairly, pretty much transactional electors. I'll leave it at that.
Would it be fair, though, to suggest that they're transactional if they made a particular decision? I mean, would that be a fair assessment, though, Mr. Nicholas?
Yes, it would be, having been on the ground and seen how they operate, yes. That's usually, when the teams go out, they're not interested in issues that are germane to the constituency, how you can advance and move the constituency forward. Instead, they're really asking questions like, what is in it for me? And not looking at the bigger picture, services that should be reasonably expected that any government or government agencies to provide, and not making those sorts of inquiries as opposed to, what is in it for me? Why should I even bother? And there's a lot of voter apathy in that constituency overall, And I'll speak to that some more later too, because when we start to talk about, constitutional boundaries and so on, I'll speak to that because at present, the constituencies are determined by the number of electors instead of the number of residents from the census. But we'll speak to that later.
Bear in mind, we don't have exit polling, so it's not clear, for example, if to what extent what you're saying is absolutely true, because we don't have exit polling here in the Caribbean, and that's something I want to talk to Peter Wickham a bit later on. So a lot of it is anecdotal and your own perspectives, it must be said. So Donna, your take on that?
I'd just like to ask, if you'd allow me, Mr. Nicholas, a question that were it the other way around, and that Mr. Brown had won this box, as is historically the case, would he still maintain that the electors are transactional?
Not the young people. I didn't say the electors, the younger generation, not
How
my
do we know
grandmother,
how
not my
many
grandmother's generation. They are one way or the other, and you can't move them. The younger generation, the 18 to 30-year-olds, those are the ones I'm talking about. They are not loyal. They're loyal to the last person who spoke to them.
So they're independent voters.
But I would say this.
So they're independent voters, Mr. Nicholas.
They're transactional.
Peter, sorry, Bertrand. Let me hear Peter's take on this.
Yeah,
So Peter, firstly, your take on the numbers.
Yeah,
143 to 86. By the way, one was rejected. One of those votes was rejected. I think you heard while we were on. You heard the returning officer say that. So as you said, Alex Brown 86, Randy Baltimore 143, one rejected. Peter.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sticking with the scientific analysis, and I'm seeing a swing in that box of 13%. Against that background, I think that the ABLP support in that constituency is back to, I wouldn't say pre-COVID levels, but it's certainly somewhere within that region. And this is a reasonably good performance in that. The fact that the first box A to I is the same as it was in the last election, and as you know, the panel was noting, is the one in which the UPP did best. But certainly this sub-part of the box it was equal. It was almost 50% and 50%. To make a 13% improvement in that box, it's going to be difficult to pull back anything different. As to the motivation and the idea of transactional, I don't know that I can come to those conclusions, because I don't really get the impression that the voters in this by-election were behaving any differently to voters in previous by-elections. What is interesting is that you mentioned that there was a 65% turnout, which is good for a by-election. It's certainly higher than the St. Peter's by-election, and then the St. Mary's one was even higher, which tells me that clearly there was a level of competition in this election. It was a competitive election in which both parties came out. Perhaps St. Peter's, the UPP would have thought that it wasn't really a seat that they could win. But clearly on this occasion, there's a feeling that they could win it, and they were motivated, which is a good thing. But having said that, the ABLP is clearly out front. And as I said, a swing of this nature, if you project this across the entire constituency, you're looking at around 62% support at the end of the night, which is a very good night for the ABLP. Moving from 53 to 62, if that's what it is, inconsistent with that projection, that's good.
Okay, all right. In fairness, Derek Nicholas did say that he has more context to give to that issue that he mentioned earlier. So we look forward to hear the context that you have to provide. I'm interested. I'm a numbers person. I'm not into anecdote. I'm into empirical evidence. So I'm perhaps leaning towards Peter, because the numbers do tell a story. And in fact, of course, we do not have exit polling, so it's difficult to project what person's motivations are when they vote. Bertrand, let me hear you.
What I would like to say, which is something that I always say, you have to understand political behavior, and you have to understand political institution. And I always liken the Antigua Labour Party to what we call Tammany Hall in New York City, that just dole out political wins election after election. The Antigua Labour Party is a political machine. And if you look at the situation, for example, in 1971, they almost lost that seat. They just won that seat by 40 votes.
1971?
In 1971.
I have the numbers here.
But by the time you get to 1976, there was a rout by Robin Yearwood. And so you see that when they get into that scenario where you have large, small margins for the Labour Party, they always turn out the next election. They ramp up that machine and they turn out the numbers.
You're absolutely right. So in the 1971 elections, this was 5 years before Sir Robin started his political career in that constituency. By the way, this was an election that was contested by the Antigua People's Party, the APP as well.
Right, that's right, yes.
So in 1971, in St. Philip North, the ALP's candidate was Donald Shepherd. He got 380. Guilford, that's with Guilford Cornelius of the PLM got 340. So that's a 40 vote difference. And let's tell you about R. Edwards of the APP got 22. So there's a 40 vote difference and of course, as you said, by 1976, that seat, first time represented by Robin Yearwood, at the time Robin Yearwood, 761 to Harry Josiah's 374. So a pretty significant victory at that time. Okay, we're on the second box now. There's two boxes in Glanville's, and that's of course polling district A. So we heard the first box, won comfortably, those numbers are on your screen, won comfortably by Randy Baltimore of the ABLP. And they're on to box number 2, which is J to Z. So that's the second box from this one. Let me just ask you generally, panel, and by the way, we're going to be dipping in shortly to this box as well to let you hear some of the audio from this one. So we'll keep you the numbers across, so rest assured, nobody's going to be faster than us in terms of giving you the numbers on this. The issues that would have been in play in this election. Let me hear from you first, Donna, and then I go down the line. Bertrand, and then Derek, and then Peter. The issues that were at play there.
Well, generally, the issues at play from the United Progressive Party are based on a lot of no policy. Let me not say misinformation, disinformation, lies, and propaganda. That's their policy. They're just absent of policies. And so, as soon as Sir Robin retired, we started to hear that he had done nothing. However, on the ground, that is not so. That constituency has schools, it has a polyclinic, it has concrete roads, it has housing, it has almost full employment. So when you get door to door and someone says to you, or you might ask, what would you like to see? There are roads still to be fixed, so they're going to say there are roads still to be fixed. But there is a clinic now, there are services that they would like to have, and we saw the pharmacy just recently opened. So that refutes a lot of the Robin did not do anything, because on the ground you're seeing evidence of the work that was done. There's a main road leading straight up into that constituency, and then it branches out. Is there more work to be done? Yes. But I think the people are satisfied that with the young energy of Randy, who is from the constituency, who connects with the young people, and I think Peter will bear me out on that, and I think Derek did, that we're seeing a lot of the young voters. It is not transactional. It is them seeing someone that they can connect to, that they can speak to, somebody who is approachable, somebody who is affable. There are afternoon classes happening for the young children. There is energy. And I think there are some people who are looking towards being empowered. They're employed, now they're looking to be empowered. That is an area that can be developed for tourism. It's just so pretty up there. So I think that the past was done well under Sir Robin. I think after the 1971 elections, that the people of the St. Philip North decided that they were not going to play fast and loose again with representation in the parliament. So they stuck with Sir Robin, who I understand to have been an underground people's man that anybody could knock on his door. He was accessible to people. People like that. People do not like politicians who roll up the windows, put on the AC after election and pass you by like they don't recognize you. And I think his maintaining that close connection with his people is what maintained him for the 50 years, and Randy has that. And I understand that Randy has been his, well, in church they say acolyte. You would know that that's a church word. But his mentee, right?
Yes.
Since he was a parent.
His
protege. Since he was probably a teenager, and maybe before that. So what we are seeing is not transactional, but transformational.
Let me hear you, Bertrand. Joseph, on this one?
No,
the issues that are playing.
I think sometimes you have to be careful with your political rhetoric. And I even heard when he appeared on ABS, Mr. Brown saying that he would not say that Robin hasn't done anything in the constituency. And this notion that if Columbus came back, he would still recognize, I mean, it was an extreme. And people would see that, take that a particular way. Because when you say that a politician has not done anything in the community, that to me is an understatement. Every representative have done something in the constituency. The question is, have they done enough? And to go over the board by saying nothing has been done in the constituency was, I think, a mistake. You have to know how you're couching your political arguments. But when you go up there now, the other argument is that only because you have a by-election. But that is true for both parties. When Chatsworth Samuel was alive, there was hardly nothing done in his constituency, and every time he used to query about certain things, they used to brush him aside. And as soon as the by-election comes, you see a lot of action, road being fixed throughout the constituency. That's the nature of politics. That's the nature of politics. And when you are in a situation where you're running for the party that is in power, people are also going to ask themselves, if you vote for the opposition, what are we going to get done in our constituency? You have to take those things into
It's
consideration.
political realism.
Yes, political realism.
Let me get from Derek Nicholas.
Right. So I too would like to join with my fellow panelists in saying that yes, Sir Robin did things in the constituency, but the argument is he could have done more. And don't forget, he was at one time the Minister of Agriculture and Lands. He could have promoted and advanced the people in this constituency and encouraging them to get a piece of the rock. And then on top of that too, he was also Deputy Prime Minister in the Lester Bird administration. So how much closer to the seat of power could you get? And the difficulty some people have is that he could have done more. He was in position to do more, and he didn't. That's just the reality, and that's not a criticism. It's just what it is.
Can I just pick you up, just very quickly, can I just pick you up on that point? Was the fact that he won 50 consecutive years, he served for 50 years and won about 11 elections, was that a function of the UPP's weakness or inability to beat him, or what was it a function of? It's
not a cut and dry answer. Yes, he was an affable person and somebody who you could go to and whatever the situation you're facing and seek to get guidance and or assistance. But in my humble suggestion is that he could have done more. Did he do enough? No. And
do you say what do you say to your party for not having capitalized on that? Since you're saying he didn't do enough, why wasn't your party able to capitalize on it over the 50 years?
Well, put it this way: the opponent who came up against him, they kept changing, and so that in and of itself, so they didn't allow for somebody long enough to get on the ground and develop their own style and getting the voters on their side. And so Robin and like Mr. Joseph said, the ALP has a machine that is one not to be taken for granted. And but in terms of the issues that voters in this election would have been speaking to, basic land, educational opportunities. They have lots of brilliant people in St. Philip's North, but their parents cannot afford to send them any further. And one of the criticism is that we can't find one person in all of St. Philip's North who got a scholarship to go with to become a professional during Sir Robin's tenure. And that criticism will haunt him and be part of his legacy. And that is something that the UP, Alex's opponent, was saying that he's going to continue the legacy. And so the argument of the nothingness, that's where that it came from, in that people are expecting more. And like I said before, the younger generation, they're not of my grandmother's generation. They want more. They don't want the same things my grandmother or your grandmother wanted. They want more, and they are smarter, and they have greater ambition.
I know Donna Shaw is really jumping
What is more?
Very quickly, Donna, before I come to Peter, because we have to slip into this one.
So, Mr. Nicholas, apart from what is more? I think you're really putting down the people of St. Philip's North who would have returned Sir Robin to Parliament for 11 consecutive elections, 50 years. He must have done something good, as the song says. But let us look at employment, because employment provides the basis of your upward mobility in life as soon as you finish from school. And we have heard testimonials of people who said that they were working at 17, had their land, and that he would coach them financially not to buy a car first, buy a piece of land, have your house by the time you're 20s. When you say the people want more, what more? Because we didn't have university then, we have a university now. So you're making unfair comparisons. And so I, kind of just figure out when you say that the UPP didn't leave anyone there long enough, whose fault is that? That the opposition was never organized enough to have succession planning. Sean Nicholas was there for at least 2 cycles. Frankie Noons was there for quite a while, for 3 election cycles. So it is not fair to say even you guys keep changing people, because then you're discrediting your own party's organizational and succession planning, Mr. Nicholas.
Okay,
Mr. Burford,
we're going to come on.
thank you.
Peter, just bear with me, please. Bear with me, please, Peter. By the way, the viewers like the banter between both party raps. Let's go back over now to dip into this box. That's box number 2 from Glanville's. So you'd have seen back and forth. Let's go now to hear some of the audio from that one.
Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. 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 Baltimore. Baltimore. Baltimore.
All right, so there you have it. So that's box number 2 of 7. So reminding you that there are 7 boxes, 7 polling stations across 3 polling districts. So we've now completed Glanville's, 2 boxes in Glanville's. That was box J to Z. We're getting the results shortly. So rest assured, within a few minutes, we'll have the total numbers from that. But it's clear from a shot of the outside there that the ABLP supporters are cock-a-hoop after having heard the numbers there from that box. So we'll see. Cock-a-hoop.
You have to give the definition.
Cock-a-hoop means that they're very excited. They're happy. They're happy about it. So we're gonna get the numbers in a short while. So the ABLP supporters, they're in full voice outside the. And by the way, they're very keenly watching what's happening inside the counting center there. And let's have a look at the hive of activity outside. Still with us, Donna Shire, who is representing the ABLP on our panel, former banker, entrepreneur, radio host. And to Donna's right is Bertrand Joseph. Bertrand Joseph is a former member of parliament, former government minister, and a public affairs analyst and commentator. To Bertrand's right is Derek Nicholas. And Derek Nicholas is a private mathematics teacher, political strategist, as well as a business consultant. And to Derek's right is Peter Wickham, pollster and regional commentator par excellence. So Peter, I know that I owe you one because I had a little bit of back and forth, so we didn't get to have you the last time. Your take.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciated learning a new word, cock-a-hoop.
Me too.
And I certainly would be cock-a-hoop if I were associated with the Antigua Barbuda Labour Party, because it seems to be an improvement, certainly on the last election. But you were talking earlier about polling, and you were talking about the absence of exit polling. We don't have that, but what we do have is, as I said, I would have done two polls in anticipation of this election. And one of the things which is useful is that we can see what some of the issues were. And I can tell you that the issues in that constituency were essentially water and roads and infrastructure. And it is not inconsistent with the rest of Antigua, where there are a few places where water is not an issue and where roads are not an issue. But generally speaking, these are the issues that come up. So the issues didn't differ significantly in this constituency. What is not on the list, however, is employment, which I think is interesting because my understanding of the, and I certainly, Bertrand and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of the style of representation that Robin brought was that he employed a lot of people in the constituency because he had a business in the constituency and he was in a position to do so. And for all intents and purposes, it seems like that kind of personal attention was what people liked him for. The problem, however, was that for the last five years or more, I mean, it's an open secret that Sir Robin wasn't in a position to give that level of commitment that he also would have given before, because he wasn't available as much. And I think that this is the reason that we would have seen his support level deteriorate, because people got accustomed to a particular style, and they weren't seeing it, and as a result, the support levels would have fallen. But it's not to say that he didn't do anything, and I think that probably would be a bit extreme, because my sense is that to win 11 elections consecutively, I mean, you need to do something. But it was clear that the type of leadership that he was offering, the type of representation, was very much associated with the personal touch, where he would give personal advice or give jobs and that type of thing. But yeah, no, significantly, people are voting for these issues. And what I would say is that this result tells me that people are of the opinion that the ABLP in government is in a better position to address these issues, even though there are perennial problems. And the reality is that water's been a problem for a long time, you know, in Antigua, especially in the dry season. But people are obviously saying, look, we think the government is making an effort, and we are convinced that they are more likely to be able to address these issues than the UPP at this time in that constituency.
Okay, a fair point. I think that's a fair assessment. Peter, of course, you would have had the numbers from your polling. How recently did you do polling in that constituency, Peter?
Twice. There was a November poll, and then there was something that we did 2 weeks ago, and that after the election was announced, basically. And that was the one. The more recent is the one that I'm referring to. Both of them were showing leads. I would say that the lead in the most recent one was less generous than the lead in the first one. But that was
also... Could I ask you to hold, please?
Sure.
Because we have the numbers now from box number 2. The numbers are in from box number 2. That's box J to Z, Glanville's School of Agriculture. Randy Baltimore of the ABLP, 166.
Oh boy.
Alex Brown of the United Progressive Party, 82. Rejected ballots, 2. So 166. In fact, an even more commanding win in this box than the first one at Glanville's, 166 to 82, 2 rejected. Peter, let's continue. This is a very, very quick assessment on that before I come to the rest of the panel. Your quick assessment of these numbers for box number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. The swing has now gone up to 18%. And that's the kind of double-digit swing that you want to see in a constituency that was flagging. So he's looking now at achieving the 64%. My feeling would be a good day for him would be 65% of support. And he's done well. And, you know, as we were hearing earlier, the likelihood of the UPP being able to pull back in these other boxes where their support levels was less strong is low. So it's looking like he's getting back into the old Sir Robin type of performance. And I think that would be certainly good for him. So it continues. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Very quickly, Derek, please. We're going to be going to this box, by the way. They're getting ready for box number 3, which is now we're moving to Willikers. Those votes were cast at the Nelvey and Gore Primary School at Willikers. And this first box of 4 from Willikers is A to D. So we're getting shortly from us. Please go ahead.
Right. I too would like to say that was a very impressive win and for Randy Baltimore. And that would probably speak to the ground game in terms of the execution. And but I wanted to touch back, if I may, just briefly on something my fellow panelists jabbed me about earlier, and work in the constituency. We've seen some work in the constituency ever since the whole idea was mooted that Sir Robin may not be running again. And that happened, and I think that is deliberate on the part of the government to put themselves in a favorable position with the electorate. But for a long time, the constituents of St. Philip's North have felt excluded from the national conversation. And that is one of the reasons why places like Seaton's and Glanville in particular, who've been even, and Newfield is an enigma because they have been neglected, but they continue to vote for the ALP anyway. And but in the last 3.5 weeks, we have seen lots of infrastructure work happening, and for that we're thankful because we deserve it. We're part of the national conversation, and as the song said, if something is here to get, we need our piece of the pie too. So that's I will give the government credit for that. And so I think all of that, when you put all of that into context, that's probably part of the reason for the strong showing on the part of Randy Baltimore. And yeah.
Given that this is a UPP stronghold, what happened to the UPP voting here?
So two things, one of two things. Some of them were not motivated to go out of it, you know. And a lot of voters and I can only speak for St. Philip's now because that's where I reside. I can't speak for all of Antigua. Is that there are lots of electors who say, if the candidate don't come and I eyeball him and even shake his hand or something like that, they will not.
Sorry,
they will not turn out.
Just to contextualize, this section of the constituency, meaning Glanville, that's what I mean. So that's all viewers understand.
Broadly speaking, not necessarily Glanville.
No, I'm not talking about Glanville because that's a stronger UPP area.
Right.
Yes.
And even UPP supporters are saying, you know, would say that we need to see the candidate, not for any particular reason, only other than he came or she came and asked for our support.
So let me ask you, you mentioned that the ABLP has been doing quite a bit of work in terms of infrastructure and so on. Was it a shortcoming of the UPP candidate? Because he contested the 2023 election. Did he do anything during that, after having lost the last time? What did he do during that time to consolidate the stronger momentum he had from the last general election?
Oh, absolutely. But I would also contend that an opposition candidate can do so much and no more because he does not sit in cabinet and have access to the reins of government in terms of policy direction, in how government spends and where. And for a long time, and that has been part of the criticism leveled against Sir Robin, especially sitting so close to the seat of power, that he could have done more. I would never say nothing was done, but he could have always done more, and that is a fair criticism that was leveled at him. And
the question is, what did your guy do?
Yeah, but it's not so much. Yeah, but that's a question. But the reality is, you can do when you're an opposition candidate. There's so much you can do and no more, and especially when it comes to getting corporate support and that sort of thing. And a lot
was he as visible though in the constituency?
Oh, absolutely.
But by the way, before I come to Bertrand is chomping at the bits to come in on this. We have an extensive viewership in this country, around the region and the world. ABS Global, by the way. One of those who is watching is Maurice Merchant, who is Director General for Communications and also the Chairman of the Prime Minister's Scholarship Program. He was pretty intrigued by what you said earlier, that nobody got from the constituency got a scholarship, and he wants to set the record straight that from what he can recall, there were over 60 graduates from St. Philip North in the past 12 years. So he just wants to set the record straight. That's Maurice Merchant. He's the head of the Prime Minister's Scholarship Fund. You want to respond to that?
I don't have access to that information, but I don't know any graduate who would have gone overseas from the constituency either to any of these government available scholarships.
Okay, all right. But Maurice Bertrand just wants to make sure that there are at least over, he says, at least over 60, he says. All right, Bertrand.
Well, I know at least one, because, no, because I know, well, I'm not going to go. But what I wanted to say, I was hoping that we would discuss that in the context of the organization. And, you know, when you have done so well in a constituency, you have to be out there. And I hear the rumbles and so forth as to whether the organization was giving him the support in terms of him more visible in the constituency.
Alex Brown?
Alex Brown.
Okay.
And whether the dynamics within the party itself has something to do with what we are seeing now.
Yeah. Very quickly, Donna, before we go over the numbers.
3.5 weeks to do all that infrastructure work, my dear friend, longtime friend Derek, is virtually impossible. And what infrastructure work you're referring to has been done across the island in terms of roads and water improvement. And I remember seeing those pipes being put in on the way to Willie Keys years ago when they started the repiping by APUA. So I don't think that that 3.5 weeks is going to cut it. And I'm thinking, I'm not the mathematician here, but 166 votes, 82 votes. That was like almost 2-1 to me. So for them, for them to have such a wide disparity tells me that some of those 166 votes are coming from the former people who voted differently.
No, this it wasn't stopping you. I was just telling you that there's a slight adjustment in the numbers. Slight adjustment is 156 to 82.
It's still significant.
Yes, but that's 10 fewer.
And that about
156,
speaks
right.
for itself. I shouldn't have to say anything.
Okay, all right. So there you go. So the numbers are on the screen. The first two boxes. Box number 3 is on in progress. 143 for 143 to 86 in box 1. 156 to 82 in box 2. Let's go over now to Chanel Imhoff, who is at the Glanville Community Center. Over to you, Chanel.
Baltimore. Baltimore.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chanel Imhoff, and I am coming to you live from the Glanville's Polyclinic for the St. Phillip North by-election. This is a historic by-election, as for the last 5 unbroken decades, Robin Yearwood has held this seat, and having resigned at a special sitting in Parliament to commemorate that triggered a by-election, and here we are waiting on the results on that said election. And competing this evening, we have Alex Brown of the United Progressive Party and Randy Baltimore of the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. 2 boxes have been counted so far, and in box 1 we have 143 votes for Randy Baltimore and 86 votes for Alex Brown. And in box 2 we have 152 votes for Randy Baltimore and 82 for Alex Brown, with only 2 being rejected. As you can see and probably hear, the energy is very high here at the Glanville's Polyclinic. There is a early reported 65% voter turnout, which is impressive for a by-election. And we are left to see with the remaining boxes what the results will be tonight. So we had 3 polling districts earlier and 7 polling stations. They would have been at the Nelby Gore Primary School, formerly the Willie Keys Primary School, the Newfield Primary School, as well as the Glanville's School for Agriculture. Polls closed at 6 o'clock, and right now all eyes are on the Keys, the Glanville's Polyclinic, inside and outside. They're filled with cars, with supporters, with everyone waiting to see the results of this by-election, because for the first time in 50 years, the St. Phillip North constituency will have a new representative by the end of tonight. But that's what we have for you so far. Here we have 2 boxes so far. The 3rd box is being counted, and when we get some more results, we will definitely update you. But as you can see behind me, we have supporters of both political parties who have come out in their numbers to support their candidates, to watch the count, to see what happens. And I believe that whatever happens this evening will send a clear message to both sides as to what the people on the ground are feeling right here in Antigua and Barbuda. So that is our update from the Glanville's Polyclinic. I'll take it back to Master Control, and we will be back, of course, with more later down in the evening. Thank you.
Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Come here. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. 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 Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, this is a rejected ballot. Nobody make an extra candidate. Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, rejected, blank, Baltimore, 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 Baltimore. Brown. 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 Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Baltimore.
All right, so there you have it. A look there at a panoramic drone shot of just outside the Glanville's Community Center, hive of activity there. And as you see, the ABLP supporters continue to be in full voice, certainly in relation to, that's a third box, 3 of 7. There's 7 boxes being counted tonight. So box number 3, and this now we've entered the Willikers area. So this is box number 1 from Willikers. This is A to D. And these votes were cast at the Nelvie and Gore Primary School, formerly the Willikers Primary School. All right, so we'll get the numbers for you shortly, but a look there at just outside the Willikers, sorry, the Glanville's Community Center, which is also, of course, the same compound where the polyclinic is as well. All right, still with us is Donna Shire, who is representing the ABLP on our panel. She's a former banker, an entrepreneur, and a radio host. And to her right is Bertrand Joseph. Bertrand is a former member of parliament, former government minister, public affairs analyst as well. To Bertrand's right is Derek Nicholas. He represents the UPP on our panel. He's a private mathematics teacher, a political strategist, and a business consultant. And to his right is Peter Wickham. Peter Wickham is a regional pollster and political commentator as well. So let's start this way now. I only had started this way before. So Donna, your take on having heard, just before we hear the numbers, what do you make of this box?
Well, let me just add that before I was a banker and a talk show host and an entrepreneur, I was a farmer. I was a farmer while I was doing all of those things, and I'm still a farmer. I mean, all of those things passed. I'm still a farmer.
Good. You also want to make sure that that is out as well.
Yeah, so I heard some of the cockahoo. That's the word. So I can only
the word of the night.
The word of the night. So I can only anticipate the results of that box. But I would like to respond to something, and just for the public's consumption, to let the public know that Derek and I are actual friends. So there's no animosity, no hostility in us having this discussion here. Because when he said that an opposition caretaker is not in a position to do anything for their constituents, I beg to differ. There's so much you can do. You can advocate, you can form sports clubs, you can form youth clubs, you can do classes, you can go for those scholarships that the 60, and I want to thank the director of information. I'm not so sure what his name is, what his title is, but Morris.
Right, Director General for Communications, Province's office.
For making that correction, because I was here wondering in bewilderment. That doesn't sound very possible, because even if Sir Robin himself did not initiate these scholarships, people would request these scholarships and find their way to get these scholarships. So I'm happy that that was corrected, but I just think that this is not an excuse if you're not the elected representative. You have to prove to the people that I am capable, I'm competent, that I can advocate for you. So that's my take on that until we get the results of the box.
Okay, in fact, you've spoken into being. We have the results of the box now. So the box number 3, A to D at the Nelvi Ngo primary, that's in Willikers. Randy Baltimore, 117, that's 117. Alex Brown, 33. Rejected ballots, 2. So, Randy Baltimore continues his imperious run in this by-election in St. Philip's North. An impressive victory in box number 3, A to D. Let me hear from Bertrand, what were the numbers in the last general election for this box?
Well,
by the way, we're going to go back over shortly. Just very quick comments from the panel first.
We're not able to make a comparison because the letters have changed.
Okay.
But it's also significant because when you look at the last box, which went from A to G, Robin got 128 and Alex got 93. Now you have the box from A to D, and Baltimore is getting 117. That is significant. And Brown is only getting 33. And you see the trend that as you go on tonight, these stronghold for labor are just going to increase their numbers, and they're going to run up the numbers, and what you're going to get is a traditional victory, significant victory, where you're going to have maybe 800 or to 400, and it's going to be a significant decline for the UPP. That cannot be good news for the party.
Cannot be cocoa.
No, it likes the word. That likes the word. Let's hear from Derek Nicholas from the UPP.
Those numbers are quite surprising, and I have to say that Randy Baltimore is doing particularly well, given the nuances of the voters in Willikers, because the two candidates have familial ties, and so family members would have had the difficult decision to vote for either one candidate over the next, or simply stay at home. So again, kudos to Randy Baltimore and his team for the groundwork, because like I said, I know for a lot of his family members, it was not a straightforward decision to say I'm going to vote for this candidate versus the next, because they are familial ties, and so some difficult conversations must have been had over dinner and Sunday dinner these past few weeks, and the law laid down in some homes. But yes, an impressive so far showing for Randy Baltimore coming out of Willikers, A to D.
By the way, both of them are from Willikers, right?
Yes.
And we should also say that you are from the constituency.
Absolutely.
And you voted today.
I am from Willikers, yes.
And your finger, there you go. There you go. So that's want to be clear. There. Peter, very quickly before we go back over to you.
Yeah, no, I was looking at some historical numbers, and it looks as though 2018, which would have been the pre-COVID, that was 73%. And this candidate, Baltimore, is back up into that vicinity, because he's literally on 67% support. His swing has improved, and at this rate, he could get himself back to, he could render a performance that is as good as when Sir Robin was at his best. I was looking at some of his previous performances, 75%, 74%. Those were in the 90s, and it's looking like it could be in that vicinity now. So I think he's done pretty well. We have to have a conversation about what implications this has. Because I have some ideas in terms of why it is happening that differ slightly from what the others are saying, but I think it's probably too early to have that kind of conversation just yet.
We'll certainly have it later on when we get to more boxes. By the way, just very quick context for you. So the 2018 general election was contested by Sir Robin Yearwood. Well, he wasn't Sir at the time, so Robin Yearwood, who got 884 to the UPP's Sean Nicholas, who got 355. That was in the 2018 general election. By 2023, the last general election, which was Sir Robin's last before his resignation, he got 708 to Alex Brown's 615, so winning by under 100 in that one. So there you're looking at the numbers from the 2023 general election. 52.9, 53% for Sir Robin, and 46% for Alex Brown. At the time, the DNA's Mario Thomas got a negligible 16 votes.
Yes.
Yes, very quickly.
Right, so speaking of the 2023 results, Sir Robin got 176 votes, less than he got in 2018, which represents 19.9%, or almost 20% less, a few votes than he got in 2018. And just one other thing I want to mention, the list, the number of eligible electors in 2023 was 1,876. This time around it's 1,998. 122 additional voters, or about 6.5% to the list. So that's something we can speak to about later on.
Yes, we're going to come back to it. Let's go back over to Glanville's Community Center for, this is box 4. This is also from Willikers, and this is box E to J. Listen in, please.
Baltimore. 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 Brown. 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 Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. You see? That would be Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Brown. 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 Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Intense. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. 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 Baltimore. Rejected. Nothing is marked on this. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore.
All right, there you go. So the fourth box has now been completed. That's box E to J, E to J. So we're halfway through the Willikes boxes. There are 4 boxes in Willikes. and we've now completed 2. So we're going on to box number 3 from Willikies shortly, which is K to R in Willikies. Of course, those votes were cast at the Nelvi and Gore Primary School this morning, formerly the Willikies Primary School. So still with us, Donna Shire, representing the ABLP, Bertrand Joseph, former parliamentarian and government minister, Derek Nicholas, representing the UPP, and pollster Peter Wickham. All right, just very quick comments, starting from Peter this time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the trend continues. Will be a good opportunity to focus, to look at the voter turnout, which is also quite impressive. And in the boxes that we've had, it's between 60 and 70%, which I think is pretty impressive, especially in a by-election. The voter turnout was down in the St. Peter's by-election. St. Mary's, it was up. And this seems to be performing similar to St. Mary's. My sense is that it's because it was a competitive election, while with St. Mary's it was perhaps less competitive, so for that reason people didn't turn out in the numbers. But this one certainly appears to be competitive, and this box is telling us the same story, you know, that we're looking at an improved picture in St. Phillip North. Yeah.
Derek, thanks Peter. Derek?
Yes, I have to agree with Peter that the trend is indeed continuing, and for me it's a manifestation of the groundwork that Team Randy Baltimore would have put in. And as much as the turnout is fairly high for by-election, it is appearing as though more of his supporters came out today as opposed to Alex's and the UPP's supporters. So pretty impressive so far in terms of the results and the groundwork, and that has to be testimony to the groundwork that they did leading up to today.
Yeah, we're going to be going on to that box shortly. Just very quickly, Derek, what do you think accounts for the fact that your turnout didn't happen, the UPP's turnout didn't happen?
A number of things. Some people just may not have been motivated enough to go out and vote. And you never know with these situations, you never know. And because they would give you a verbal commitment and certain assurances, and then on the day, you turn up, whatever reason. And like I said, kudos to Randy and his team in terms of the groundwork, because they were able to get their folks to come out today and vote.
Bertrand?
But I think I go back to the scenario that a candidate is as strong as the party. And what sort of mobilization the party was doing in the constituency. When you have constituency activities of people coming in and supporting the candidate, bringing a caravan to create that kind of psychological impact. And is it the situation within the party that is demoralizing its supporters so they're not turning out? That to me are things that you have to begin to examine when you have a post-mortem of this particular election. What is it that the party has failed to do? Or what is it that the party has done wrong? Is the party dynamics affecting not just in St. Philip's North, but is this going to trickle down across the broad spectrum of the political landscape across the island?
We'll certainly talk about those issues coming up, the implications, if this trend were to continue, and it would be a monumental comeback if, for example, Baltimore were to overperform in the other boxes and narrow this lead. But at this point, he's trailing 1-2, so doing better than 2-1 is Randy Baltimore. Donna, shall I give your point?
With Derek's positive remarks of Team Baltimore, I don't think you really need me here anymore. It sounds to me like he is doing a very good job at promoting and complimenting Team Labour. However, what I'm seeing is a consistent increase in the margin, because I'm not the mathematician here, but it seems to me from the first box it was like 2-1, then we moved to like 3-1, now we moved to 4-1. So I am anticipating a big win for Team Randy Baltimore and the Antigua Barbuda Labour Party in this outcome. A cockahoo. moment is anticipated.
Donna is talking about the work.
Absolutely. So, yes, so I think that Derek is absolutely right, that you're seeing the results of the work on the ground. And I also think that my colleague Bertrand is accurate, that I'm not from the constituency. It's the first time I'm actually going into new field. But we made ourselves present because we understand the bandwagon psychological effect. If you see your party is strong, you're inclined to go out and you're inclined to vote. If you feel that there is a weakness and there is a general malaise, why should you be? So the party is energized, and it has re-energized the constituents, including the younger voters of that, and we cannot underestimate the impact of the new voters. And I think that what we're seeing is, yes, a tremendous work put in. And, a little later I'll have to shout out some of those people, once the victory lap is there. But I think we're going to see a consistent turnout in the other boxes.
Very quickly, while we're waiting, thanks Donna, while we're waiting on the numbers from, we'll tell you the numbers for box 4 before we go to box 5, which is in progress now. We'll get those numbers momentarily. Our teams are crunching the numbers as we speak to get to you. Just very quickly, Bertrand, the point you made earlier in terms of the kind of mobilization, why wouldn't a party mobilize for their candidate?
27.
Well, when you have problems within an organization, it ultimately is a situation where people are taking different sides. And if the power structure within the party feel that a particular candidate, a particular individual is not with the power structure in the party, it becomes a problem. And people have to decide whether it is about individuals or about the party itself. And it comes to a particular situation within the United Progressive Party, where you have two warring factions within the organization, and the perception it gives to its supporters out there is that all is not well. And then people are not putting out their effort in terms of mobilizing their constituency. As I was saying earlier, in the old days, even in the weakest constituency.
Could I ask you just hold 1 second, please? The numbers in for box number 3, the second from Willikes, and this is box E to J. Randy Baltimore, 127, 127. Alex Brown, 55, 55, 2 rejected. That's box number 4. The second from Willikes is in, 127, 55, 2 rejected. Continue, please, Bertrand.
So politics is about perception. Politics is a perception. When you had, for example, as I was saying off camera, a person like Frankie Nunes, who used to run in that constituency, where the perception that he could not win the constituency, but he was a very organized individual. And when the party have activities like picketing and so forth, Frankie Nunes could easily bring 30 people to a picket. Charlesworth Samuel could easily bring 50 people to a picket. St. Mary's North is coming with their number. City West and Rural West are coming with numbers. So you present a formidable force. And people see a party which is credible. When you're having party activities and you can hardly get people to mobilize in a constituency to bring their support to bear on a particular constituency, people in that particular constituency said, well, why should we put out the effort if the party seem not to be able to mobilize and bring their forces to support us?
But you see, there's another extension to that. The party has managed to alienate a lot of its core supporters and a lot of the people who formed the executive of the party. The party currently has a very weak leader in the person of Jamal Pringle, and a very hostile, haughty, and pompous leader in the person of the chair, who seems to be running people from the party, particularly if they think Well, if she thinks that you're not of a certain ilk, if you're not educated enough, if you come from country, whatever it is, and you cannot build a party by dividing it or by subtracting your numbers. And so if Frankie could mobilize 30 people and you yourself you were a member of that team that could mobilize 50 people and others could mobilize. But if you keep losing numbers, where are you going to get that pool of people from that you're going to create that mobilizing force and re-energize? Off here, we actually labeled it as a civil war that's happening inside of the UPP. And it is true, you have two warring fractions, and it does not bode well, but it just didn't happen just recently. There has been a hemorrhaging, a slow hemorrhaging, and then with these two leaders emerging at the top, the hemorrhaging just opened wider, and it has not stopped.
Okay, all right, so thanks so much, Donna. So again, let's just give you the numbers again for this one. That's this is box 4. Box 4. 127 for Randy Baltimore. 127 for Randy Baltimore. So that's 127 for Randy Baltimore. 55 for Alex Brown. 2 votes were rejected. So you're looking at box number 4. Let's go back over to box number 5. We'll continue. They're in box number 5. This is the third one from Willikers. So that's 5 in all. Third from Willikers, K to R. That's what we're counting now. Let's go over to the numbers.
Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 rejected, Brown, Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, 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 Baltimore, Brown, Brown, rejected, no mark. Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, 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 Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, 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 Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 rejected. This person didn't vote for anybody. Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Rejected. This person didn't vote for no candidate. Baltimore. 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 Brown. 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 Baltimore. 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 Baltimore.
9:59.
All right, so there you go. So a shot there from outside the community center at Glanville's. And of course, in full voice, are ABLP supporters on the outside looking into the counting center there, into the community center where the counting is happening. This is the third box from Willikes, 3 of 4, okay? So just giving you context, there's 7 boxes overall in the constituency. 4 are in Willikes. We're now on that was just the third box from Willikes, so 1 more box from Willikes to come. This box that you just heard from a while ago was K to R in Willikes, and that had 315 electors, registered electors. It was quite a big box, ladies and gentlemen, from that one. In fact, it was the second biggest box in terms of registered electors. The biggest one is in polling district A, Glanville's, J to Z, that had 352, and this one having 315. All right, so there you go. So we'll get you the numbers momentarily of what was the total in terms of the preliminary count. But as you see there from the other shot, the ABLP supporters are quite happy. This other box now is being actually they're just making sure that that one is secured and taken down. So they'll be putting up the fourth and final box from Willikes momentarily, and that box will be S to Z. So that's the box that's now being put up on the table, S to Z. It is going to be, the tie straps are going to be removed, and the counting will start shortly. Just very quickly, Donna?
Well, if you'll allow me, Mr. Burford, I would just like to pedal back a little bit on one of the issues that my colleague Derek raised when he spoke about water, that water was once a problem, and I want to expand it to include.
Could I ask you to hold 1 second,
Sure.
please? The numbers are just in for box 3 from Willikes. Overall, the 5th box, but box 3 from Willikers, polling District B. And Randy Baltimore, polling 137, 137. Alex Brown, 64, 64. 4 ballots were rejected. So Alex Brown, 64, Randy Baltimore, 137, 4 ballots rejected. Okay, please continue.
Yes, I was speaking
If you could just comment very quickly on those numbers and then...
Do I need to? They speak for themselves.
Okay.
I mean, it's incredible that he even did better in this box. That is Randy, right, compared to the other boxes, where we see that Mr. Brown has almost flatlined, you know, did a little better in the 5th box than he did, not in the 5th box, in the 4th box. The 4th box or the 5th box? We just
The 4th, that's the 2nd from Willikers.
No, it's the 3rd from Willikers.
3rd from Willikers.
Right,
Third from
you're saying he did better than...
A little better than the 4th and the 3rd.
Okay, right.
Right, but he's still, listen, we see the trajectory right now, and he has not won any of the boxes so far, and the lead continues. But I just wanted to spend a little time on the water and the roads, because we saw in 2023 that was the closest election that we would have seen between both parties for a period of time. And I think that there were some issues on the table. We were post-COVID. We were dealing with the Cameroons who were here, and it was said that they were here to vote and that they were human trafficked. We had a lie, a big, big, big lie, a $4 billion lie, that they said cash came on an airplane, I would say ostensibly to bribe people. And then we had one player who was inserted in the whole thing, who was distributing money that, you know, was maybe boosting up some of the other candidates, and that player is no longer around. So there were lots of factors that influenced. However, coming into this term, I think the government addressed more aggressively the water situation, because the water situation is nothing new. Another panelist spoke about that earlier. But we have improved as a country water from about 3 million gallons a day to 11 million gallons a day. Let's even say 9. Even if we said 9, we're looking at 3 times the amount. That boosts confidence, not only just the water production, which APA say water is essential for life. The problem we're having with the water now is a matter of distribution. And even yesterday on that motorcade, and we haven't touched that motorcade yet in our discussions, but I was doing a live, and on my way I saw one of the old galvanized pipe that was lying beside the road, and I pointed it out. It was so corroded, there were more holes on that piece of metal than what metal there was on it. So can you imagine that being under the earth, and you're trying to pressure water through that? The water is bursting out the pipes more from the corrosion, it's clogging up the pipes, but it is being addressed. Again, the confidence, because the public can see that they're not getting excuses, they're getting action. The same with the roads. There's no denying that we are seeing an improvement in roads that we have never seen before. This same road that my good colleague said only happened in about 3.5 weeks, that not only goes from roundabout all the way up to Willie Keys, past Willie. It actually comes from Frizy Road. If you drive in, coming along Frizy Road, and you go to roundabout and you go straight up. So in the basic infrastructure that matters, where the government is able to make interventions and improvements, we physically see it happening when you drive around this country. The amount of cars you see, the amount of construction you see, and not no 2x4 plywood construction like in the 60s. And you're seeing solid 2- and 3-story homes. You're seeing new businesses expanding. You go along Fort Road, that's Anchorage Road. That's another main artery going out to the tourism projects. You're seeing that there was the road, the bridges, everywhere you look, the port, the home porting, the tourism arrivals. People have confidence in the current administration. And the magnetism of the Labour Party, you have to be in it to feel it, to understand the kind of unity, the camaraderie. And I think it's because the Labour Party is based on a philosophy. And if you have a philosophy that is guiding you, it transcends generations. And so We are seeing, well, the Prime Minister labels it a renaissance, and we are feeling it, we are seeing it. The country is moving forward. The university is another major accomplishment that puts a level of confidence in the young people to say, I can do something here now that could not have been done before. Who would not want to attain a high level of education that brings with it economic prosperity? So I think that with a young, vibrant candidate like Mr. Baltimore representing the people of St. Philip's North, they have invested their vote in that personality, trusting that he's going to continue to put in the work, and his personality, I think, gives them reason to place that trust in the correct place.
Before I come to Derek Nicholas, Donna, to what extent can you extrapolate that to the rest of the country, the results from here? Can there be the possibility of being a little bit too over enthusiastic in trying to extrapolate it to the rest of the country?
No. If I were to extrapolate it, I would think it's
assessment?
reasonable. I think it's reasonable because we saw it with Young Turner, and we see the work that Young Turner is doing. Young Turner is not only eloquent and articulate and accomplished and educated. Young Turner is not afraid to do the hard thing, to go and meet with the vendors. Young Turner is not afraid to go and import $1 million worth of building material to impact the lives of the poor and vulnerable. Young Turner, I mean, surprised me. He's performing, but Young Turner, remember, Param, you know. But when you look further, you know, the Prime Minister in his constituency, he went against the resistance, the protest, and insisted that he's going to shut down that slum area that we call Booby Alley. And look, when last have you been down in that area?
I've seen the pictures.
Okay, so it is certainly near completion. That is testament of someone who cares for his people despite them fighting their own good. I mean, so I would extrapolate it across all the country. Our Minister of Tourism, he's been heralded as one of the greatest ministers of tourism in the Caribbean. He's winning these awards, and we're seeing it with the cruise. The home porting is good for people. Like myself, people come in and they spend a week or they spend 2 or 3 days to see the island before they go on the boat. The taxing men are having a good time. I'm sure the vendors are having a good time. So I think we can extrapolate it. Let's look at chairman of the party. In St. Paul's, he has built an empowerment center. He takes out his old people on excursion. He has a party for them all the time. He does his eye care. As a matter of fact, the government now has almost 25,000 glasses that are going to be coming in for the people. So we see a caring, visionary, proactive government. We don't want a reactive government. We don't want a government who doesn't have a vision, so we can buy into that vision and move along. So I think we can extrapolate it across all 17. I don't know about Barbuda, but even Barbuda has a new airport.
Your colleague panelists have a little chuckle when you mention that, yes.
Yeah, but let them say why they're having a cocoa boom moment, why they're chuckling.
I see you like that word so much. You know.
I love learning
we'll come back
words.
to you. I'm going to ask Bertrand and Peter's forbearance. We're going to get their views after this box, but let me get your view just very quickly before we go back to the box, Derek.
Right. So I hear my fellow panelists speaking about infrastructure and water. And as someone who is from St. Philip's North and lives in St. Philip's North, I can tell you that the water situation before Saturday, the 21st of February, was unacceptable. Unacceptable. Some days, some weeks you'll go 4, 5, even 6 days without water coming to the pipe. And that is a UN, one of the basic human rights that any government, irrespective of whoever is at the seat of power, should be providing its citizens. So that is something that we continue to beat and speak about. And just before we came back on air, I checked at home and the water is on. Still on. Right? But seriously, up until the 21st, prior to the 21st of Saturday, the 21st of February, the water situation in Willicays, Seaton's, Glanville's, Carter's Hill, past Mall and parts further in the constituency was just simply unacceptable. And as far as the road infrastructure, yes, that started on I'm not sure if it's this project that started in 2019 prior to COVID that my fellow panelists is referring to, and I keep beating my head against the wall trying to figure out what is C.O. Williams doing to this brand new pristine road, and every day, not every week, every day they keep digging it up, to pave it again, to dig it up, to pave it up again. And that is just, for me, I tell my family, they're just doing this to keep themselves relevant, and I would like to get an open-ended government contract like that. This has been in operation since November of 2019 to today, the 16th day.
But do you know why they're digging up the road, though?
No, I don't know that because I don't read it, and I read, and I have not read anything anywhere that speak to, not even a notice to say tomorrow is going to be single lane traffic or any of those things.
Well, to be fair, the Ministry of Works has been sending out quite a few notices, especially on their Facebook pages, their social media pages. It was very quickly done.
Yeah, but my understanding is that there are corrections to be made to the work that was done, and so the government is getting its pound of flesh out of C.O. Williams. You have not done a good job in the first installment, go back over and fix it, and it's not for an increased pace. It's not an open-ended...
All right. On that note, let's go back over now to the Glanville Community Center. It's always good to hear both party reps on a panel like this one. We'll get Bertrand and Peter when we come back after this box. So this is box number 4 from Willie Keir's box S to Z. Let's join the audio there.
Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Brown. 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 Baltimore. 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 Brown. Brown. Baltimore. 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 Brown. 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 Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Baltimore, Baltimore, Baltimore.
All right, so there you go. So again, the ABLP supporters are getting increasingly cock-a-hoop about the situation there with that's the fourth and final box from Willikers. And this box is S to Z, a smaller box, just 218 registered electors. Of course, not all voters, of course, so this is a smaller box compared to, for example, the previous one. So S to Z, we'll get the numbers for you momentarily. Peter, let me get to you and come to Bertrand right after. Peter, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a continuing trend, and, you know, I kind of running out of superlatives. What I wanted to do is to focus a bit on the broader picture, because I think that at the end of tonight, we have to start asking ourselves questions of what does this mean for the broader political landscape, and then secondly, what's responsible for this occurrence. Localized issues are a factor, there's no question about it, but I also think that it has a lot to do with leadership. And I'm looking at the fact that under the leadership of Comrade Lovell, the UPP...
Comrade Lovell?
Yeah? Lovell?
Probably you wouldn't like the term comrade.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Brother Lovell.
Brother Lovell. Yeah, the UPP seemed to have improved, certainly in the election that they almost won. Since Comrade Pringle has taken over, the fortune seemed not to have gone as well. And I think that to me says a lot about what's happening in relation to the performance that we saw in certainly the St. Peter's election, this one. And then also the fact that the Labour Party, the UPP has been hemorrhaging in terms of members leaving. Recently, I'm hearing now that Serpent is not coming back as a candidate. Clearly something is not right, and I'm wondering whether leadership may be the answer. When I look at the poll from the previous election, from this actual constituency, the preferred leader or leadership approval numbers were pretty disastrous for Pringle. Gaston Brown was 54%, and Jamal Pringle was at 15%. Wow. And of course, Comrade Lovell is in there as well, around 5%. But the point...
Oh, sorry, this was from which poll? Oh.
This is the one that we did last week.
Last week?
Last week, right, in this constituency.
Oh, in the...
So I'm saying,
okay.
yeah, you're asking in the constituency how people feel about leadership, because it's always an indicator. And the numbers for Prime Minister Brown are really quite impressive. The numbers for Jamal Pringle are concerning. You know, you're not even getting to the 20% stage, and this is an alternative leader, supposedly. This tells me a lot about what is happening in terms of the mood of that constituency and perhaps the mood of the entire country. And I think that one of the keys to all of this tonight is the fact that people are less excited about the leadership potential of Comrade Pringle than they would have been with Comrade Lovell. And that is perhaps a question that the UPP has to answer. You know, why have members defected to the ABLP? Why are members not running again? And why is it that in the constituency, you know, you're not even finding a quarter of the people who were polled saying that they think that the preferred leader would be Jamal Pringle? So this is the kind of interesting scenario that we're in, and the question is, what does this mean for the future? And my sense is that certainly if I were Prime Minister Brown, seeing these kinds of numbers from tonight, you know, I would say that a general election is a pretty good idea at this stage. It's not too early, and certainly these numbers are far better than would have been the case in the last election. And it says that maybe, you know, you ought to take advantage of it. And I think the one key factor is that the party was being led by Mr. Lovell in the last election. It's currently being led by Mr. Pringle. The potential for Mr. Lovell to take over again is there. And if that happens, then perhaps we go back to a 2018 situation, which is less attractive. So, sorry, 2023 situation, which is less attractive. So I think that this is where we are at the end of tonight. We have to start asking ourselves questions about what does this mean for the broader picture. And I think that there is definitely a vote of no confidence in certainly the current direction leadership of the UPP. Can Pringle survive this? I tend to think not. I think he's already under pressure. And coming out of tonight, he's going to have to answer some questions about the leadership of the party going forward.
All right, before we come to Bertrand, we're going to go to the final box shortly. The final box is the single one from polling district C. That's the Newfield Primary School. So this is the Newfield area. One box there in that polling division, or polling district. But before we go to the audio from that, and before we hear from Bertrand Joseph for his comments, ABS has this important announcement. ABS can project confidently, and our numbers team, or statistical team, has cleared us to project that Randy Baltimore is the Member of Parliament for St. Phillip North. Randy Baltimore, an imperious performance in that by-election today, even before the final box is counted. So ABS projects that the new, and that is the green tick just above Randy Baltimore's picture there, over 68% of the vote, and he will be the next representative for St. Phillip North in Parliament. Bertrand, your comment on that one. So now you've noticed that previously the constituency map was in grey, now it's in red. The ABLP comfortably and imperiously retains St. Phillip North. Bertrand.
Well, there was no doubt in terms of the outcome of this election. What we were in doubt was what would the final results be in terms of the margin of victory for the Antigua Labour Party. But the sad thing is that what we are seeing now is a slide with respect to the UPP, and that is extremely concerning, because Alex has now moved from 600 and something votes to he's going to be making maybe just about 400 votes. And that is something that the party has to take a look at, because since the by-election in Parham, we have seen a precipitous decline of the UPP within the body politics. And it's not just talking about an Antigua Labour Party stronghold. It is the implication for this result across the political landscape in Antigua and Barbuda. And when we talk about leadership, we have to talk about it in the context of the Westminster democracy, what that means. Because when you're a leader of a political party, the broad perception of people across the country has to think that you can lead the party to victory and become the next prime minister. If that is an issue out there in the body politics, it spells a difficult situation for that organization.
Yeah. Hold the point, please, Bertrand, because we can now give you the numbers from the box that you just heard, the fourth and final box from Willikes. Of course, the one that's being counted now is the final box overall. That's the only one from Newfield. So, box number 4 from Willikes, 6 overall. Randy Baltimore, 95. Alex Brown, 45. 1 rejected ballot. So, Randy Baltimore, more than double the votes of Alex Brown in box number 4 from Willikes. That's box S to Z. 95, 45, 1 rejected. In fact, before we get your comments, let's go now over to the sound from Newfield. Let's tap into this final box.
Brown. Baltimore. Baltimore. Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 rejected. This person voted for both candidates. Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Brown, 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 Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Baltimore, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Brown, Brown, Baltimore, Brown, Baltimore, 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 Baltimore. repeat the process, please. You'll have your time. Just allow me to finish up. Allow me to finish up, please.
Then the last line. The last line. Did you hear what she said? Okay, what number you have? One that you just put down?
I just put down one now.
145.
Brown.
I have 145. No vex, no.
Baltimore. Brown and then Baltimore. Baltimore. Baltimore.
Okay. Tell me.
Hello, give me a chance to finish. Give me a chance to finish, please. Just give me a chance to finish a few more minutes. Give me a chance to finish, please.
40, they just mess up all the while.
48.
140. Right. There was one, that's what I asked you. There was one, when they started to make the noise, she said,
42. 149 for 42, one reject. One reject.
yeah. It's just the one that they made nice for. That's what I wanted to know, just the one, right. What time you have? What time you have?
School bus. 149.42 and one rejected. $149, Randy Baltimore. 42, Alex Nicholas. Alex Brown. I don't know, I'm tired. 142, Alex Brown. One rejected. I now declare Mr. Randy Baltimore.
All right, so there you go. So scenes of absolute jubilation, unbridled joy for Randy Baltimore, the Member of Parliament-elect for St. Philip North. And of course, a victory that was as emphatic. It was a statement victory for Randy Baltimore and the ABLP. Pretty much a political shellacking for Alex Brown of the UPP. 924 to 406 for Randy Baltimore, plus 216 from what Sir Robin Yearwood had done in the last general election. 216 more votes he got. Sir Robin had gotten 708 votes. Randy Baltimore gets 924, so that's 216. And for Alex Brown, he got 615 in the general election in 2023. He underperformed significantly, 209 votes fewer this time in this by-election, getting 406 votes based on the preliminary count. And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. We saw earlier, we showed you the pictures of both candidates while the votes were being counted. For Alex Brown, it was a look of absolute dejection, a resignation to his fate that he had lost a second time in roughly 3 years. For Randy Baltimore, it was a look of quiet satisfaction and a look ahead to the fact that he is now entering Parliament for the first time. His maiden victory, his maiden political entry in terms of a candidate, and he's gone 1-1. First time entering the political fray and getting a victory on his maiden try. He and his supporters are absolutely soaking up the moment, and as Donna Shire would say, they are cockahoo. So as you continue to enjoy those pictures, by the way, we're going to be getting an interview shortly with Randy Baltimore, or Nicola Barreto is looking to get an interview with him. But as you see, it's difficult to get into that inner circle because his supporters are intent on making sure that they enjoy the moment and, of course, taking pictures for posterity. They will long remember this moment when Randy Baltimore entered the political fray for the first time and secured his first victory. He had long been a close aide of Sir Robin. They had long been with him on the campaign hustings, and he's taken that experience and has translated it into a victory at the polls. The ABLP retains the seat. They have never lost since 1971, and they retained it in imperious fashion. It was a political shellacking for Alex Brown. Still with me, Donna Shire, Bertrand Joseph, almost said Bertrand Russell, and still with us as well, Derek Nicholas and Peter Wickham. Your view, your take, Donna.
Well, first let me just congratulate.
And by the way, the champagne is out as well.
You can see that it's just joy, pure joy. I would just like to take the moment to congratulate the Honourable to be named parliamentary representative, I'm sure tomorrow morning, to be sworn in, Randy Baltimore, on a very well-deserved victory. I've grown to really admire, respect Randy. His very quiet demeanor, very hardworking, very educated, qualified, intelligent, very compassionate person, like I said before, someone who's connected to the people. But it would be remiss of me not to also congratulate his team, his very dedicated, committed, hardworking team, who were out there, I mean, late into the night sometimes when I would have thought it's past campaigning time. So let me give a shout out to people like Ava, Otto, to Cindy, to Mr. Lewis, the chairman of his party, who is sitting there with the white cap, people like Beverly, Lydia, who has been out from early, Aitan, Mr. Shaul, so Evelyn and her sister Shay and her daughter Maya, if I'm forgetting anyone. And the other thing that I find too is that the people are very warm, friendly. In Willowkeys, right now I know it's going to be a big celebration. They love cook up their seasoned rice and their pepper pot and their chicken soup. It's just a very warm, close-knit community. So at this point, I think it's just congratulations. Let me also congratulate Alex Nicholas on his...
Alex Brown.
Sorry. Oh, my. I'm doing the same thing like you.
Yes.
Alex Brown. You don't look at me like that. because they were looking on Peter like that when he said Comrade Lovell and Comrade Pringle and so don't look on me like that for making a mistake. So let me say that I am happy to see that they have not deserted him tonight like they did in the St. Peter's election. So I've seen some of his colleagues there. But I want the UPP to take an example out of what Alex did when he went and he embraced Comrade Randy and his wife, because we must discontinue this acrimonious, hostile, aggressive enmity. I mean, we're not accustomed to that in this country, and we do not want to have that kind of politics where we cannot reach across the aisle and have a conversation or have an outing or enjoy other moments of celebration for the country. It is important for us to remember. And, you know, recently we are seeing, especially in the media, and somehow the UPP finds itself aligned with some very destructive media personalities that is only helping to damage the brand of the party anymore. So, Mr. Burford, before I go, I would like to thank you for inviting me here for another night of this election watch, to thank the other illustrious members of this panel. It's a pleasure serving with you guys, and it's another victory to for the party that I have committed myself to work with, to support, not only in the interest of the party, but in the interest of the country, particularly for the future generations.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me hear you, Derek, Nicholas.
Yes, I too would like to offer heartiest congratulations to Randy on a well-deserved victory. In fact, I have already reached out to him and offered congratulations, and he's acknowledged. And so I just want to do it publicly, and I know he will go on to be fine representative and listen to the views of the constituents, and I've already told him that some of the things that Sir Robin got away with, he will not be able to get away. He will not be able to get away with those. He's going to be held to a higher standard, and he needs to be more engaging and having more consultations and getting, so that when he goes to Parliament, he has a fairly good idea as to how the constituents feel on matters that affect them. And so, yes, and as for the candidate I was here to support, Alex Brown, I too would like to tell him, just keep your head up. You were magnanimous tonight, and keep your head up. You have nothing to be ashamed of, and just go out tomorrow and thank your supporters for the support that they showed you today. And life goes on, but to the people of St. Philip's North, they've spoken, and we have to respect their wishes and move on. Tomorrow's another day.
Indeed. We're going to come back to you shortly, Derek and Donna, in terms of the political. By the way, just to be clear and fair, you've indicated that you're more representing Alex Brown on the panel rather than the UPP on the panel per se.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just to be clear, you've indicated that you want that distinction made. But of course, you can't separate them 100%. So you will have to speak on their behalf as well. All right, let's go to. By the way, we're standing by for an interview with Randy Baltimore. We should be going back over shortly for an interview with Randy Baltimore, or Nicola Barreto is trying desperately to try to get an interview. In fact, can we go now over to...
Actually saw those values, and that is why I was extremely confident into this by-election.
Now I see you have the entire tribe.
All right, so we're getting back to Nicola there. As you see there, just a little bit of a gremlin in the system in terms of the technology, but we will get back. As soon as we reestablish the connection, we'll have the interview with Randy Baltimore. But as you see, absolutely beyond himself in terms of the joy and the satisfaction from a victory that was as emphatic as it was quite powerful in terms of securing that victory tonight in that by-election over Alex Brown. Alex Brown, magnanimous, gracious in defeat, going over to hug Randy Baltimore, showing that there is no animus between them. They're both from Woolly Keys, by the way. They're cousins. Yes. I didn't realize it as well. They're cousins, as Donna tells me. And by the way, there's you call it Willie Kites? Or something like that? Okay, there you go. A member of the Willie Kids community as well is Derek Nicholas. Peter just stepped out. He'll be back momentarily. He'll be back on the panel. Bertrand, what does this mean politically while we wait to re-establish the connection with the constituency?
I think the party, the UPP, has to have some serious introspection. When you're coming up against a political juggernaut like the Antigua Labour Party, you have to mobilize all of your branches to bring them in to help your brother in order for him to have a good show. It cannot be that the candidate is going to fight this political juggernaut by himself. This is no David against Goliath. You have to bring a Goliath army.
I think we're back over. Sorry, let's go back over to the constituency. A little bit of a challenge here. We just got caught at the back end of the interview there. As you notice, quite a lot of supporters have gathered now on the inside of the community center. They had been on the outside of the Glanville's Community Center. They had been looking in, and they were hearing the numbers as the ballots were being counted, and they knew that they can. Let's go back now to. We should be able to get some more audio from the area as well.
Let me give thanks to the Most High God. Without him, this could have never been possible. I thank all the comrades who supported me, all the comrades who campaigned with me from the different constituencies, our Prime Minister, all the members of the cabinet who came out in their numbers. And I must say we ran a clean campaign. We campaigned on the issues, we campaign on the concerns of the people, we concerns on the initiatives that Randy Baltimore and his team has done in the past, and we will continue to work for the people of St. Philip's North. Here on in, we will go out, we will share the happiness to each and every one. Please, enjoy yourself tonight. The work continues. God bless you. God bless St. Philip's North.
The vuvuzelas are out, and the rapturous applause and the rapturous celebrations will continue long into the night and into the morning. It has been a febrile campaign. It has been a breathless campaign for both parties, and in the end, Randy Baltimore essentially delivering an emphatic victory, one that the ABLP, I'm pretty sure, is very, very happy with. Certainly you would have heard from Donna Shire saying, look, this is absolutely welcomed, and you're saying, Donna, that it speaks to the work that he put in. I'll come to you back.
Yeah, it speaks to the work he put in, but I think, as you said, let's extrapolate it to the entire country. It speaks to the work that the Labour Party has put in, because people are not going to vote for nothingness. So they would have voted prior to this election for the work that Honourable Robin Yearwood had put in. Regardless of what we say or think or imagine, he would have put in something for his people to have returned him to Parliament for 50 years. And coming onto the eve of Randy entering, we saw work continuing into constituency, or the people would not have delivered this victory tonight. The polls were almost accurate, because the polls were showing at about 70%. I'm sure Peter will speak to that. That's his role here. And at 69.5%, 0.5% is short. It's on point. And I think that this is a resounding victory, yes, for St. Philip North and its people, because now Randy has to continue to elevate them, to empower them, to be visionary from the smallest child come right up to the most senior citizen, to make sure that everybody feels included. This is the time to unite if there was any falling out, because what I am understanding, particularly Willie Keys, it's a family village. And so, because they're cousins, you might have a little, you know, healing that you will have to do. So let us just hope that tomorrow morning will be that healing, the healing will begin, the progress will continue, and that we can have a better nation coming out of this election, this by-election, going forward into whatever the future holds for the general election. But I think that this election here is shedding light for the way forward.
Okay, all right. Segue into what Bertrand was. Please pick up your point, Bertrand.
And I just want to re-emphasize it because Randy Baltimore made the point as well. The election in St. Philip's North was not just about St. Philip's North. The Antigua Labour Party understood that it had implications for the general election coming. And so, whereas you have a situation where the branch in St. Philip's North might have mobilized, the Labour Party was not going to leave it to the branch itself. And they're going to bring in the whole army to shore up that victory, because they understand that it could not just be a simple victory, it had to be a statement. And that statement they expect to ripple across the country, to affect the minds of the voters out there, to say, this is the Labour Party, it's not going anywhere. They have made that situation. And it was for the UPP to be able to, at the same time, move in a full force into the constituency to make a similar statement that the results of 2023 was not a fluke. Mm-hmm. They have not made that point.
Mm. But if I could just
yes.
add to that, what we saw
Peter,
was very dismal with the primary that they just had in St. George, where you had a winner getting 9 votes, and the chairman, her response to that was, well, I'm not going to drink bush tea for anybody's flu or fever or something like that. So basically, she was not on the ground. They do not go on the ground. You don't see them on the ground. They had a motorcade or something with about 6 or so cars. When they have any, they are still unable to attract a crowd at any rally or any event. Yesterday we had a motorcade, and that was more like an island-wide motorcade than just a motorcade. I drove for 8 solid hours. The Prime Minister was on the sound truck last night, and when I saw them still dipping into the constituency office, I said, no, down your old man, you just go ahead and catch your yard. It's 10 o'clock in the night. Well, you're standing up out there for the statement has already been made. It was a huge mammoth motorcade. That's just to buttress Bertrand's point, that the Labour Party is not taking no victory for granted. It's working for every vote it gets.
Mm. Peter, what does this mean? You mentioned earlier, you gave us a kind of preamble earlier that if you were advising the Prime Minister, I mean, you're saying that a general election would be a tempting offer at this point. What does this mean in terms of the implications of both parties?
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably the best place to start the analysis. Well, let me congratulate Randy Baltimore firstly and commiserate with Alex Brown. I just think it was bad timing for Alex Brown, but Randy Baltimore, certainly all hats off to you for having done what you've done. Let me start with the constituency and then we go to the national. And I think that everything is impressive about this victory. I mean, he's on 70%, 69%. It is among the highest levels of support that the ABLP has ever gotten in that constituency. I'm seeing 1989 is the highest, and then he has some 70s in there. So to come in at 69%.
1999.
1989.
99.
99. Yeah, he got, Sir Robin had gotten at the time over 1,000 votes, 1,017 votes.
I'm talking about the percentage.
Oh, percentage.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
percentage. Okay.
I mean percentage.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So the 89 was 81%, and I tend to look at percentages and not numbers.
Indeed.
So it's one of the highest levels of support that he would have received. So he comes in on a fairly high note, which is quite impressive. His personal swing is 16% in favor of the ABLP. This is essentially almost a reversal of what the ABLP experienced in the last general election overall, and certainly is a reversal of what they would have experienced in that constituency. So it sets a tone that the ABLP is definitely back, and I mean, to come in on a double-digit swing for him is pretty impressive. I think we also have to make some comment about the extent to which Sir Robin's performance over the years is a credit. Regionally, there's nothing that compares with this, and I think that this is something that needs to be commented on, and to basically be alive to witness it still, I think is one of the greatest tributes for him to be able to see, be alive and still be able to see that this is the manner in which the constituency has responded to his successor is something fairly impressive. The voter turnout, again, is good. You know, it is a voter turnout that's almost 70%, and is quite impressive, quite high, and consistent with the fact that Antiguans took this election pretty seriously. Against that background, the national implications, I think, are fairly clear. As I said earlier, certainly if I were in a position to press the electoral button, it would be a tempting offer right now. Previously, I didn't think that it made sense. But I think I'm persuaded now that it's something that the Prime Minister ought to consider, because clearly the UPP is on the back foot. This is the weakest that they have been in a while. And certainly as you're going into a fourth term, there are going to be few opportunities that will be as attractive as this for ABLP. Clearly, Comrade Pringle is going to have...
Sorry, you keep saying that. I'm pretty sure that it's an oxymoron, Peter. Yes, yeah, I'm sure he would want to be called that.
Yeah. Clearly, Mr. Pringle is perhaps going to do the honorable thing and offer his resignation relatively soon, which means that it throws the UPP into a state of flux.
Sorry, I missed that. You're saying he's going to resign?
No, I'm assuming that he will offer his resignation from the party.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I mean, in our Westminster system, invariably when a party leader leads a party into a defeat such as this, I think the honorable thing to do is to offer your resignation. I don't know whether he will or not, but I'm saying certainly this would be the type of advice I would give to him. Give the party the opportunity to decide whether they want to stick with you or whether they want to move on. We know that there's another candidate waiting in the wings, and you know, this might be part of the conversation, but certainly with a performance like this under his belt, having lost St. Peter's already, having lost candidates, having had candidates saying that they're not coming back under his tenure, yeah, it would make sense to say that, look, you know, maybe this is not the right time for me. The party can decide in a special conference whether they want to continue with leadership. If that happens, it creates a vacuum, and I think it creates a unique political opportunity for the ABLP to sneak through. So to me, tonight was as much about Jamal Pringle as it was about Randy Baltimore, and Randy Baltimore won. So Jamal, and not only he won well. So Jamal Pringle now has to ask himself about his own political future, and I think certainly Harold Lovell, who was previously known by the name Comrade Lovell, would also want to ask some important questions about his own political future, because again, this is a unique opportunity for him as well. So, interesting election. As always, I enjoyed being on the panel, and I want to thank you for the invitation. Bertrand's historical analysis is always spot on, and I think that we benefit from that on every occasion. And this is the first time I've worked with Donna and Derek, and it was good to be part of the panel with you.
I think you were on.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, 2018.
With Derek, but not Donna.
Yes, there you go.
So I think it was certainly a good balanced panel, and I enjoyed the experience.
We enjoyed having you as well, Peter. But before we come back to Donna and to Derek, because Derek, even though you're not necessarily representing the UPP on this panel, it'll be remiss of us to not ask you your view in terms of if you were to advise Mr. Pringle, what would you say to him? You heard very clear, concise, trenchant analysis from Peter. What would be your advice to Mr. Pringle?
Right, and as I've said during the break, as the leader goes, so does the party. And in as much as we articulate policy positions and all of that, if the leadership of the party is not seen to be an attractive person, where he can command new people to come on board and be part of that organization, then the party itself is doomed, as they say in law, ab initio, from the very beginning. And so if I were to give Mr. Pringle any advice, and he hasn't sought any from me, let me say that, I would ask him to seriously consider all of the ramifications, and as a numbers person, numbers don't lie, and to give serious consideration as to his next move politically, and maybe a resignation as the leader of the party might be the proper thing to do, and allow the party the free will to go forward, as Mr. Wickham said, if they see to return him to the leadership or someone else. But as it is right now, following this defeat, the party is certainly in a much weaker position than it was yesterday. And all of these things, given the options available to the Prime Minister and the Antigua Labour Party, they need to coalesce real fast and re-strategize and go forward, because the ground is shifting, and they need to take note, and fast.
Ground is shifting. That's a powerful term. Some might say the political firmament is shaking. But let me ask you on this: was Mr. Pringle at all in the constituency during the campaign?
Yes.
How many times?
Yes. I couldn't speak to that. I wouldn't.
But he was.
Yes, he has been, and I saw him as recent as not yesterday and Saturday, and but he has been. So but I would not be able to give a specific number as to how many times he was there. But yes, he has been.
Okay, we're going to wrap up shortly. In fact, we're going to wrap in another minute or so. I'm going to get very quick comments. I know you wanted to respond very quickly, Don.
Yeah, I wanted to answer both of them. They have something called a convention. So what about their convention? I leave it right there.
All right. I would just like to thank the people at the Electoral Office. I promised them I would, in terms of the assistance they have given to me over the years. And I also want to thank them for handling this process in the way that they have done tonight.
It was quite smooth. Yes,
no, I just want to make a quick comment and to support what Bertrand was just saying. The level of transparency on this occasion with the transparent ballot boxes and the fact that the count took place on live television, live stream, I think this was pretty impressive. So I support Bertrand and certainly congratulating him, the Electoral Office, for raising the bar in terms of this electoral exercise.
Yeah,
and it's no mean thing in terms of the transparent boxes, because in the past, people used to say that ballots are in the box already. So now you can see that it is a completely empty ballot box.
Absolutely. So in other words, you don't have to turn it and shake it and people look through it because you see right through it. There you go. It doesn't have a false bottom. Peter did mention very quickly in terms of the numbers, the highest percentage Sir Robin did get, and this was in 1989. So whereas in terms of raw numbers, nominally he polled the highest in 1999, the biggest percentage of victory was in 1989. And in this election in 1989, Sir Robin polled 869 votes to 173 for Junie Deschalto of the UNDP. An independent candidate was Reginald Halstead, polling 13. So that was a pretty significant, that was, shellacking in terms of the numbers there. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We leave it here until the next time. But we really want to let me thank Donna Shire. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, as ever. Let me thank Bertrand.
And thank you for having me.
Joseph, as ever, thank you. Let me thank for the first time. I think it's the first time you've been on one of these panels. Really appreciate it, Derek Nicholas, and thank you for your candor in making the distinction, but also giving your views on it very, very quickly. Tell me.
Not only that, I want to thank you too for the invitation, and I would not go down the convention road because the other party is equally guilty of not having the convention. So I'll leave it at that.
You want to respond very quickly, Tom?
Yeah, very quickly, that we are going to a convention, and our convention will not be disruptive, acrimonious, and more people leaving the party, a big exodus. It will be the opposite, that whatever is to transpire will make us a stronger party, solidarity forever, and you're safer with Labour, Derek.
No, and you all also understand that the Antigua Labour Party is at their strongest when they're united. And when they're united, the times in which they have had challenges in 1971 is with the split in the Union. Yes. And then again, in 2004 is when there was also a rift within the Antigua Labour Party between Lester and Francis.
All right, there you go. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And as ever, Peter, we thank you so much for being here physically this time. The last time you were here, you were joined virtually. So let me thank my esteemed panel, a powerful and erudite panel, giving their diverse perspectives. And that's what we do here on ABS. We let all views contend. In Peter's words, Peter is essentially using or paraphrasing Shakespeare's words, immortal words, in Julius Caesar. There's a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted all the voyage of their life is bound in miseries and in shallows. On this full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. In his view, the ABLP, riding the crest of this wave in St. Philip North, should perhaps take it one step further. We shall see if that happens. I'm Garfield Burford on behalf of the entire team here at ABS. We thank you so much for joining us for special coverage of St. Philip North Decides. And they have decided that Randy Baltimore will be their new Member of Parliament, and he will be sworn in momentarily. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.